Welcome back. We're getting close to the finish line. Here we go. So today we don't have to worry about watercolors at all. We're working on our background. So we're going to want to have these guys out, our permanent markers. We're not only working on the background, we're also working on kind of redefining all of the lines of our portrait itself. So you definitely need to make sure that your image is dry. Like if you just recently painted it, pause, let it dry before we continue on, okay? But you'll notice as you're looking at mine, you're gonna see that some of these watercolor painted portions are overlapping the black, right? Like right here, you can really see it well on the camera. I can see more than that real easily in real life, but on camera, sometimes things don't show up as easily. So what I'm gonna be doing here is I'm going back in and I'm just redefining all of these lines. I want it to look really sharp and crisp and professional and beautiful and lovely and all the wonderful terms you might ever use to describe artwork. We want that. That's what we're going for. So you can see how much sharper that looks now. So this is going to take a minute or two. Okay, so it's going to take a lot more than a minute or two, but it's going to be worth it because it's going to really make this pop and look amazing. So you guys don't need to watch me do this forever. We're going to go in and do that for everywhere. The hair, clothing, even the face, like, some of these fine lines and wrinkles that, you know, all of our commercials are telling us we should get rid of. I'm going to come back and redefine those too. Bring those babies back in. Make sure they're really well defined. So you might need to grab sometimes those smaller markers as well to get in some of these smaller areas. Use whatever works best for the space that you're trying to work with at that moment, okay? Once again, you don't need to watch me do all of that. Just know that that's going to be your next step. Okay, from here, we're going to be working on our background. So ideally, our background is going to have that neurographic vibe like we did on days 2 and 3. So if you remember that from the beginning of this project, we want that kind of vibe going on back here. Now, there might be a couple of reasons why you don't do that. Maybe you're looking at this and you're like, it's too busy already. And if we do that in the background, the portrait itself is just going to get lost, right? Like it's going to depend really on each of your portraits. And even maybe you're working on 2, maybe you're doing an extra credit one as well. Maybe one of them can handle a neurographic background and one of them, it would just be too busy. I'm going to let you make the call on that one. So if you are not doing the neurographic background, if you're just leaving it solid, all you need to focus on is redefining those lines today. We'll be watercolor painting the background, your solid color, next class. However, that being said, if you're not doing the neurographic background, if we look in our slide, it says that, if you're choosing not to do a neurographic background, I still need to see that you know how to do that, the neurographic part of it, right? So in your art journal then, you're going to submit this and this with the solid background. That way I can still see like, yeah, they know how to do it, cool. And then here's what their portrait looks like with a solid background. And then we'll count it. So today, if you're not doing the neurographic background, you're then going to want to just make sure that this looks really nice. You know, you do the same thing where you're touching up all those lines like we're doing on our portrait as well. Okay? So another reason why you might not do the neurographic background is if you're like, I'm just trying to get caught up to here. Okay, well, that's another reason why maybe we wouldn't do the neurographic background. That's fine. Once again, just make sure you're taking pictures of both of these things for in your art journal then. However, if you are going to do a neurographic background, like our instructions are requesting that we do, if yours can handle it and you've got the time for it and it's going to look cool, so you're like, yeah, let's do this, then you only need to submit this into your art journal. Okay? So just like we did on day, I believe it was day 2, right? We're going to take that marker and we're going to go all the way from the edge of the paper and we're going to start to swirl it and twirl it and mindlessly kind of just make different markings in here. Maybe even add, like, this is a piece of hair coming down. What happens if I kind of turn that into some kind of neurographic swirly twirly, right? So you can see I've got it only in that portion right now. I might choose to do more. Also remember, we don't want to have lines that just go like this, where they end right there. That doesn't work well with neurographic stuff. So we want to make sure that we're continuing that line in some way or another so it reaches the edge of the paper. Just like we did on that day then too, we're going to come back in, we're going to thicken up some of these lines. Right? We want it thicker in some spots, thinner in others. And part of that's going to happen when we round off any of these intersections. So areas where it comes to that sharp point, no, we want it nice and rounded. Yes, we do. And that's going to help create that flow, like so. Even on these corners too, we don't want sharpness happening here. We want smooth transitions. So for those of you doing a true neurographic background, you'll be working on that for the remainder of class. Don't forget to record your time as well. There is no painting happening today. Today is all about the permanent marker and just redefining lines, adding in lines for the background if you're selecting that option, and that's going to work best for your piece. And have some fun with this. All right, I cannot wait to see. We're getting so close to the finish line. I know they're looking cool already. It's just going to keep looking better and better, and I cannot wait to see it next time.